Stay to the left here a bit more.
Oh, I should change this.
Just take your shirt off.
Okay.
Hello, Reject Nation. Greg Alba here.
And it's John here.
So, one of our rewards on Patreon, one of our exclusive rewards, whatever video you request, whether it be a reaction or a discussion, we must definitely do. We're
doing it.
It's not a reaction that's been requested.
Nope.
It is top 10 favorite Game of Thrones character. Well, honestly, it's Rosa Parra. Rosa Parra, you guys have heard us mention her before. She's the lady we visited her and her family in that special vlog we did. Rosa wanted us to do our top 10 favorite Game of Thrones episodes, and I was like, we're not a whole crew of people, and I don't really remember every episode.
I can't break it down on an episode by episode basis.
So I was like, is there anybody we could do like top 10 favorite Game of Thrones characters and rank that? And she said that's fine as long as it's Game of Thrones related. So John and I spent a good 40 minutes contemplating who should and shouldn't be on this list. And now we have narrowed it down to our 10.
To our mutual favorites.
And if you are not happy with this objective list, let us know.
You know what to do.
Let us know, because that's what you Game of Thrones fans do when you don't like something at all. You gotta rip us apart, right? Don't worry, we'll definitely read those comments.
Always. Always read the comments.
Always get your identity based off those comments. Anyway, John, are you ready to do this?
I'm ready to do this.
Number 10.
Number 10.
On our list.
On our list.
On our professional
list
of listing videos. We have number 10 is Cersei.
Cersei Lannister.
You guys know Cersei Lannister. You know, as much as we could try to sound like the intellectual film dudes, we'll just tell you why we love these characters instead. What I love about Cersei, what's the actress's name again?
Lena Headey?
Lena Headey. What? Isn't that the girl from Oh, no, it's Lena Dunham.
Yeah. Very different. Yeah. But she could play a Lannister, I could see it.
She could play a Lannister.
She could play like Tommen's aunt or something. I don't know.
What I love about her performance is it's so multi-layered. Like everyone else on that show, she's very multi-layered. This show has a fascinating effect where you go back and forth between every character. Cersei is that character who I don't always hate. More often than not, I hate her. However, she has this ability where every once in a while, I'm very sympathetic for the lady. Well, I understand where she's coming from. She knows how to one-up. Every time you think she's at the bottom of the pit, every time you think she doesn't have a fighting chance, she figures out a way to manipulate her way up there or get someone else to help her out where she can come out on top. She is a worthwhile enemy that they have built up to this final season. It's like, yes, there's the walkers, and then I was thinking Walking Dead.
There's, the DEA.
There's Cersei. If I was Jaime, maybe I'd be conflicted. Let's all leave it on that note.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about having a villain on this list, because it's hard to claim a villain sometimes as one of your favorite characters. And there are some good villains on Game of Thrones. We talked about, you have to talk about like Joffrey and Ramsay, but those dudes are, just kind of like evil. And sociopathic, and like Cersei.
Ramsay's too close to home for me. I relate too much to Ramsay.
I feel for the guy. But Cersei has that quality of like, I get you, but and she's a maddening character, but she's also really compelling. And of all the villains, I think she is the most compelling. Number nine is Sandor Clegane, aka the Hound. Talk about a character who has arced and grown over time. A guy you wanted dead for a while, and now you're like, no, this is one of the best.
He says, "See you next Tuesday" better than anyone else.
He does.
He does
say that. That's his catchphrase. And the crowd goes wild.
And he says it like that. It's not the acronym. It's the phrase. See you next Tuesday with an S-E-E. The Hound's awesome because for a character called the Hound, he is kind of like that angry dog who you can see is just a really hurt boy on the inside. I think that's the beautiful thing about that guy's performance is he's big, he's nasty, he's ruthless. However, you can see that he's really just a hurt boy. He is like a dog on the inside,
And there's something I've always found really authentic about just that character and the way he plays that character. And he's a great reminder to me of... It's easy to get lost in Westeros, in all these different realms and stuff, and to feel what the true scope of it is. And we've watched this guy travel too and meet so many different characters and kind of weave throughout the show and touch a lot of different plot lines. And I think that's really cool, and I think he's a really compelling subplot character for those reasons.
Yeah, I mean, he's a
and
guy...
his whole thing with Arya, like...
He's a guy who started off villainous, and then you really grow to, like, hope he turns into a good guy, and it seems like the show's really taken him into good guy direction.
Part of the thing when I started this show is, like, watching Ned Stark, I was like, man, you know you're gonna, I know you're gonna, it just seems like you're not meant for this world.
Yeah.
And like, Clegane has grown in ways where it's like, he's still pragmatic and still kind of gruff enough to make it here, but also he's like really developing a sense of, I don't know, humanity. Yeah.
The character modeled after me, Varys, is number 8.
Number 8. Varys the Spider.
I had to look up what a eunuch meant because of this guy.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I didn't know it. And then I rewatched Pirates of the Caribbean with you this year, and I was like, oh, every time he says you're not, it makes eunuch jokes. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Snip, snip.
Snip, snip,
That's
buddy.
what Jack Sparrow means.
No junk.
Let's move on to number 7 now. Varys is compelling in a lot of those same ways too, because I personally hated the guy the first time. You know, that villainous way of talking, like him and Baelish seem to really balance each other out at a very strong perspective. And then there's that one episode he gives this whole monologue as to what his backstory is, how he came to be here. And that's when I think for not just myself, but a lot of people, the perception of who this guy is vastly changed. He's more on this list for Jon than me, I'll give it that. However, I like him enough to be like, yeah, let's put him on the list.
It's easy to argue for Baelish too, and it's like, I feel like, you know, the hands...
I just think Littlefinger's a little too one note.
Well, yeah,
that's the only reason I didn't argue for him being on this list.
Yeah, like he's a fun character to watch, but he does have kind of a very visible
just
MO.
that actor.
Yeah.
Like everything. I saw the Mazer and her Scorch Trials. I'm like, you do the same exact
your
performance.
thing.
Yeah. Oh, you seem trustworthy, but the audience can always tell you're not. You know?
Shanghai Nights.
Yeah, Shanghai Nights. But anyway, Varys.
I think from the beginning I like that character, because like, even though every character sort of starts one way, you get to perceive them from the outside, and then you start to get to know them, and you make a new conclusion from there. And like, Varys is a character I trust now, and there are a few of those, on this show. But also, I've always thought he was a good example of like the good gray in the advisors to the, royals and stuff. Those parts are compelling to me when it's about the people who are advising the kings and queens and the generals and stuff, the people who are like really digging up the information and doing the work that informs, what they're,
yeah, it's the Trump administration,
Exactly. I don't know. I just really enjoy both his performance, just, his mannerisms and stuff, and also the story of that character and the alliances he's built over time. Assembling Daenerys' A squad, I'm glad Varys made the team, It made me a fan happy.
Sir Bronn of the Blackwater as number 7, man. He's my homeboy. Honestly, he's just my homeboy. His storyline is not the most compelling, so that's why it's not higher up on this list.
Yeah.
But out of characters, whenever they're on screen, I am just having a good time. Yeah. He's that guy. He's one of the closest things to comic relief of the show you'll get on something like Game of Thrones.
Well, because he's an oddly lovable rascal. You're like, I know there's a lot of stuff about you that's not great.
And no one tells it how it is, like Bronn.
True
Bronn
that,
always tells it how it is, and if he's lying or being deceitful, he kind of just puts it out there too that he's being that way.
He's just upfront about everything.
He's just so upfront. He's got no time to horse around. He's just a survivor.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect of him and how he like climbs the ranks. He wants more at the same time. It's like he might sell out and do something like a little bit more that doesn't give into the good side of his heart every once in a while. But you can tell he's still like in the season 7 episode when they all come together, where all the characters finally meet each other, when Bronn's interacting with Tyrion, like there's still that sense of understanding that even though Bronn is on, Cersei and Jaime's side, he still respects Tyrion a lot, you know? And I love those aspects to the guy. And I never want him to die, because he's so funny. Yeah.
Well, and that's a character that, too, is very distinct for those reasons, because that was one of my favorite moments in the recent season, was seeing, especially through Bronn, because he's been with a number of different characters we've followed, and so to see him chat with both Jon and Tyrion, just like their old friend, like regardless, the guy can put down, the bigger bigger picture and just be like, yeah, I like you, you know?
Yeah, and I think the writers do a great job with him in terms of balancing out without letting him get too sensitive ever. Like there was a scene that they deleted that we saw a clip of. It's the episode when Shay is being told by Tyrion to leave. And then he kind of explains a lot to Shane. He gets a lot more sympathetic and heartfelt. While it was kind of a nice deleted scene, it was like, I'm kind of glad it wasn't in the episode though, because it puts him too much on the softer side when I'm like, I like that they don't let Bronn go too far there ever.
I feel like Bronn is not the type of character to do anything out of altruism, but like he does save Jaime's life at one point. You're like, I think you like him.
It's his actions. It's not his words. His
exactly.
words are, you gotta keep tough, Bronn. Jon Snow. Bastard son. Ned Stark.
Not anymore, he's not.
No. Lord Commander.
Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. This is like a Beatles older
Jon Snow. You know, I wanted to be him for Halloween, but I'm like, I can't be Jon Snow season 1 hair. I mean, my hair's pretty long.
Yeah, you could straighten it.
This is why Jon Snow... Yeah.
Straighten it and then tie it back.
His hair's curly.
Well, you could straighten it a little bit.
It's his distinct look is he has curly hair. I don't know how to make my hair fall like his. It's like my hair, I can make it long enough and bring it out to be season 1 Jon Snow, but I'm like, who wants to be season 1 Jon Snow?
So instead you're going to be the most beloved.
So I'm going to be the most beloved character of all the Defenders instead, Iron Fist, because it's unique. No one's going to be him. Jon Snow, he is the closest thing to Ned Stark's heart that we have on this show. What I love about him, he is the leader of the show in a lot of ways. Like, he doesn't start off the show like a leader, but I love the arc that he's had where he is becoming the main leader, because he's constantly making choices that involve sacrifice, that involve navigation, foresight that other people cannot see. He got killed at one point because of it. Even though it was the right decision in the long term, he thinks long term about things. He thinks about the bigger scope. And I appreciate that a lot about his character. Like, even when he's making the decision to bend the knee to Daenerys, it's like, this ain't gonna go down well, but he knows this is the best thing to do. And in terms of Kit Harington, the one actor whose name I know, Kit Harington, in terms of his performance, at first I didn't see what the huge deal was about Jon Snow. Well, like the first couple seasons, I'm like, why does everyone love this guy? So I like him, he's likable, definitely, but I'm not in love with Jon Snow.
You know, he's your alright adopted brother.
But over the course of the seasons, you see that he has like the greatest heart. It's like there's one person on the show you want to be, it's Jon Snow. Like the kind of ideal human being I'd like to be, it's Jon Snow. A lethal fighter, a great leader, a man who does his best to constantly be compassionate and understanding, thinks about the bigger picture. He's everything I'd want to be as a man. You know, he's loyal.
In the breakdown of things, he is perhaps mathematically the best character, which is why he's number 6.
And I feel like women would want a man like Jon Snow too. Like,
yeah, because he's sexy too.
He's sexy. You know, he knows nothing. It's not that he's not a virgin anymore, but he doesn't seem like he's like interested in like, you know, I'm still young. I gotta get laid all the time.
I'm hanging out the brothel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's never that dude.
No, he's just kind of.
It's like he has sex when he's in love. What woman doesn't want this guy?
Yeah. Well, and you know, naturally, I think he just rises to the top of that show because he is the best leader of all the leaders that we're watching try to lead the world. Like,
he's a bomb.
Yeah, Jorah Mormont or Jorah the Andal if you're a Dothraki.
Khaleesi, please, Khaleesi. It was when I saw that was his quote that I was like, he's my favorite character now.
Khaleesi, please.
Khaleesi, please. Like the first few seasons, I'm like, this guy's every other line is him begging Khaleesi about something. Listen to me, Khaleesi. I am loyal.
6 whole seasons. Give this guy a break.
Yeah, man. I just feel sorry for Jorah because he's like older and he really wants to be with Daenerys. It's like, dude, you're too much older. You're like old enough to be her dad, man.
Yeah.
You gotta stop falling in love with her. You're like, get out of love, man. Because it ain't gonna happen. I feel very sorry for the guy. You know, it's like he's one of those guys who wears his heart on his sleeve. You can tell he's a guy who has a lot of regrets. He's been through a hell of it, like so much experience.
A lot about life.
Yeah, you can tell he's been through so much pain.
And he's made decisions he is not proud of.
Exactly. What I love about his character is he wears his heart on his shoulders, and he's so expressionate in his eyes, and more importantly, you don't really know a whole lot about Jorah's backstory. You know some stuff about Jorah's backstory, of course. What I love about that actor's performance, you could feel an entire history with this guy.
Yeah,
he really feels like he's in whatever this fictional world is, you know?
For sure.
He's too good at it.
He's too good. He's super lived in, and he's earnest.
Yeah, and he's very understanding. He doesn't really seem to get to a rageful point, at least on the outside, even though you can feel there's like a monster. There's not a monster, but a rageful guy in him. He's a warrior.
Yeah.
Who's had to do some things where it's made him feel ashamed, and that guilt and shame kind of guides him. And I feel like there's so much relatable to Jorah without it being expositional, and that's what I really appreciate about his character.
Well, yeah, because you can identify with his struggle, because he is just a guy who's trying to do better.
Yeah.
You know? Especially, like, that's kind of, I guess, part of the bread and butter of the show is what do the folks who just want to do better do in a situation like this. And especially in the Khaleesi, in the Daenerys storyline, like, he's one of my favorite parts of that. So.
Oh, easily. Number 4, Jaime Lannister. Jaime Lannister, man.
Golden Hand Jay.
Nicholas Revolver Winchita, whatever his name is. I forget it.
I never know. Nikolai Coster-Waldau?
You might be right. We'll never know because we won't IMDb
it. J at the end, and I don't know what to do with that.
This character is probably the most impressive to me in terms of how he's been handled over the season. Easily. When did Brienne come in? 3rd season? Halfway?
Yeah, about.
Before his journey with Bran, when his character really started to shift, I hated this guy.
Yeah, right?
I hated this guy.
Yeah, I was just like, he was on my list.
Yeah. And then some people would tell me, like, don't worry, later down the seasons you grow to like him. And I'm like, how?
Not me. I'm not gonna.
How could I ever like this guy? After all the wrong things he's done to like characters we loved, and then remember that speech he gives to Lady Stark about like, you know, I'm more loyal than Ned was because Jon's a bastard and I've only been with Cersei. You know? This guy he just knows how to get under your skin. And then as the course of the show goes on, you know, when they start to reveal more of his humanity, that like, you know, this guy, he's not just some like guy who just wants more power, wants to be at the top. It's a weird subject because it deals with incest, but you can tell this guy just loves this woman. Cersei. It's like at the end of the day, like he's just really in love with this woman. Yeah. That's all he cares about.
And that's in a day and age where, you know, you see a lot of similar things, that's a feeling I don't get to explore a lot. I'm like, I don't know how to feel about you. I get it. I get it, but also no.
You know, he's become someone who's very compassionate, and he lives with the guilt too. A lot of these characters deal with guilt. The performance of this actor has become so strong in that area where he's become one of those characters like I trust and I respect him. He's charismatic. I like him, and I like the struggle of when he lost his hand and he had to rebuild his reputation and keep growing, and like the specific friendships he's developed, like with someone like Bronn, with Brienne, and how he's the only one who seemed to like Tyrion, you know?
Yeah, who seemed to give him any time of day. He is really grown as a character in such a way that even conflicts with his central romance, you know, too. Because now, like, watching the way he talks to Cersei now versus before, like, the last moments, like, there are times when I miss him in a season, because sometimes, like, lately he doesn't pop up that much, but every time he does, it's a good scene.
And his relationship with his sister reminds me a lot of your relationship with your sister.
Thanks. Number 3 on our list
3
is Arya Stark.
Arya Stark,
the youngest of the Stark daughters.
You know, I didn't like Arya the first few seasons. When everyone was like, Arya's so cool, I love her story, I'm like, I don't. I always felt like Arya was in this like storyline where everyone around her was super interesting. Okay. Like when she's with the Hound is super interesting. When she's under Tywin, when she's her servant for a little while, Tywin's interesting, you know? And then when she's with learning to be a person with man with no face. Like that guy's more interesting. Once it got to, I think it was season 6. When we got to season 6 or season 5, whenever she was really going through the training, I finally started grasping what everyone was talking about. She really does have a very specific journey that she's on. This little girl who has like fighter qualities inside of her.
Got spunk.
But they really commit to it to the point where, you know, like I see shows like Arrow, where Oliver Queen is stuck on an island for 4 years or 4 to 5 years, and then he goes through training through various people, and now he's the most lethal weapon in all of America. You know, I'm always like questioning it. Even like Batman Begins makes me go, he only trained for like 6 years. Why is he better than everyone else who's been training there since they were children? I don't understand.
Because he didn't have to go to work or make money.
With this show though, with Arya, they're so detailed in her journey that by the time you get to this point in the season, I'm like, yeah, I believe it.
I watched you grow up.
I watched you go through so much more than just traumatic experiences. You've been through all types of training to the point where I'm like, yeah, I can believe you as this person of multiple skills. I like how she's grown into a killer with a heart. You might be able to argue that with some other characters, but she seems to delight when she gets to kill someone on that list. She's bloodthirsty.
I hate you.
Yeah, she likes it. She enjoys it, you know? And I like seeing this kind of dark, semi-like serial killer on the inside who's a lethal warrior, but really cares about good people, though.
Yeah.
Really cares about kind people, but she loves to kill bad guys.
Serial killer pointed, I guess, in the best direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that about her. And beyond her skills, she's become this character who handles her dialogue incredibly well. Like when she is talking in a menacing way or being threatening, I believe that girl. I believe her.
Because she doesn't have to go too far into telegraphing it, you know. I feel like she's good at pulling it back and being subtle about it.
Yeah.
She talks very calmly.
Yeah.
And almost unassumingly, there's always like a hint of that. And it's gripping each time.
And you can always see there's something else going on inside. Even if she's not saying it, you can tell she's thinking something else as well. She's the observant one of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, next to like someone like a Tyrion, she's observant in her own way. And
she's resourceful, you know.
I've grown to really love her. And even at the times when I didn't love her character, because of where I saw her character go, it made me appreciate everything that came prior to that. So yeah, she's definitely one of the top 3 favorites. That's for damn sure.
Number 2 on the list. All right. I love this character, so I hope that we both agree on it. Number 2 for me is Brienne of Tarth.
She's cool.
She's alright. Cool. All right. No?
I hate her.
I hate her. She's my least favorite character.
My least favorite. Why isn't she a man?
She's got all those man qualities.
She's got all the man qualities. I don't know why they make it a woman.
Everybody comments on how tall she is.
Gender miscast.
And how good at fighting she is.
Yeah. At least make it part of her character, you know?
Send a breakdown out. What is this?
No, yeah, I love Brienne. And I kind of feel like they've left her out a little too much in the last season.
Yeah.
It was a bummer.
See, I feel that way especially because she was a big part of me really coming to enjoy the show. Because it took me a little while to get hooked. And the first season, you know, was a little bit like, okay, I appreciate what this is. And then for a little further on, it was like, all right, I'm starting to enjoy it. But she was one of the first characters that I was like, I want to keep watching your story, and you're really compelling me to come back to the show overall, you know?
Yeah.
Because she is one of the more tried and true, you know, moral characters, you know?
And her backstory really helps her out a lot, you know? Because like her physicality has caused her to become judged so much, and she's this character who's traumatized from being bullied and made fun of for all these things. I think what makes her so admirable as a character, she's someone who's embraced these qualities that she got like made fun of so much about, and is now a really dangerous woman. She's a strong fighter who just doesn't give up. And that really shows, especially in terms of action sequences, that fight that she has with the Hound, that legend.
That Hound.
Yeah, that Hound. That actual dog she fought. That fight scene is, it was a really special one because that's a fight where she is struggling, but she doesn't quit. She doesn't give up. I love how her character is someone who's so closed off, is all about loyalty to the hierarchy, yet she goes through conflicts of questioning of what she's been told. You know, she develops a heart for Jaime, someone who is just a prisoner. And then when she is following her loyalty, you know, there's someone like when she's looking after Sansa, and then going after Arya, and her relationship that she forms with Podrick, someone who's like, I don't want this guy here, but then she becomes.
But they're the perfect team because
yeah.
He is what Brienne is to knights and stuff, like he is to being a squire.
Yeah.
Like they're the perfect combination, and that was like a good fan service moment for me because I was like, oh, two of my favorites.
Yeah.
Adventure.
And her performance is phenomenal on the show. She is truly phenomenal on the show.
Well, and what's arisen with her character over time is like, you meet her and she is a bit more like rigid and by the rules and stuff like that. But over time, you do start to learn that conflict, like you said, the whole thing where people kind of treat her terribly all the time and like nobody kind of gets where she belongs in this world. But you really start to see the conviction and the fight, because it's like she doesn't ever crumble to these people. Like you can tell it affects her, and she feels out of place, and that's why those kinships with. I feel like that's part of what that kinship with Jaime kind of is, because they're both in very opposite ways outside the norm, and I feel like over time she develops that moral compass where it's like it's not about the system so much as like I gotta do what's right and I gotta be by my people, and I got the fight to do it. She's tough as nails, man.
What's cool about her is like a lot of times when you get like tough female roles, it can be hard to make it like they're a lady who's also really tough. I don't know if you get what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Because she's still a lady. And I use that word specifically, not just a female character, but
It's not just a female character who does and acts the way tough dudes do.
Yeah. And her looks, too. It's like, she has a short haircut, she's tall, a little stocky, but she's also...
It's practical for being a knight.
Yeah. I don't look at her as just like some butch woman. Like, I'm like, no, you're a lady to me.
Because she is still feminine in her own way.
That's
she's
the word
still
I'm looking for. I don't know why I can't come to mind. Feminine is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
She's feminine,
Because there is a certain, she still has a sexuality and stuff like that. And they even take time in later seasons to have characters be like, dude, I'm all about her. Like, it doesn't like Tormund and Clegane both
do
are
great
like,
in our century.
all about it.
I hope the real actress does great in our century. Number 1.
Number 10.
Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion Lannister. Peter Dinklage. I know his name. Peter Dinklage.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. That's all you need to know. It's that song.
The Dinks.
To me, Tyrion, other than the being able to fight aspect, which at one point he does have a moment, he has a couple moments where he gets to kill in pretty like awesome ways. Even when he kills his dad on the toilet, you're like, Tyrion style, man, I like it. He is the embodiment, I feel, of what I love about all these characters.
Yeah,
like
totally.
He's a strong, like his inner qualities are a huge mixture of everyone that we've just talked about. Because he does have that thing where in the beginning of the show you're like, this is an unlikable dude.
I don't like this
guy. And then he can also be very manipulative and cunning, but he's also but then over time you see all these other stronger qualities. He's super charming, he's super funny. He's the most observant one. He's someone who's been bullied a lot with a lot of trauma in his past, but he's used that to his advantage now.
Well, he's become very practical and very resourceful and a good reader of people.
Yeah, exactly. And he also has things he feels really guilty about that weigh on his heart and shoulder. Just him being born is a weight he has to bear. So I feel like he has, like, literally, and also too, he's consistently grown more into a character with a heart who's very compassionate, less about being cunning. Yet he still knows how to use all these qualities. He's this guy who is everyone on this list to me. He is all the qualities on the list.
I think everybody on this list, the one thing that unites them all is I think most of these characters are misfits or outsiders in some way. They're the outsider characters of different either families or storylines or all of the above. Perhaps the most expansive and most gripping example of that growth. I think I had the reaction to him that you had to maybe Jon or somebody, where I was like, I don't get why everybody loves this character. And it took me a while to be like, like you are one of my very favorites. Like I'm always happy to see.
Well, if you see like Bran, like look at these listed characters. I mean, a character like Jaime who grows from someone who you hate into someone you love. He's got that. If you look at Brienne, this character who gets bullied a lot in her past for being born in her physicality the way she is. She's got that. And also, she like Bran and Podrick and Tyrion and Podrick in the beginning. There was that. Bronn, the charming, tell it how it is aspect. Varys and Cersei, their manipulation, negotiation types of tactics. He's got that too. And then Jaime, knowing how to like do battle and lead and navigate. He's got that. He's got everything.
And then the other like Jaime loses a hand, and that makes him have a physical. There's like a kind of a parallel there, or there's a lot of forbiddens and a lot of like things that we shun. Because like Varys is a eunuch and Jon Snow is a bastard. Clegane has that whole awful relationship with his brother and fire PTSD thing,
Yeah, definitely. Same thing we talked about with Clegane being like a hurt boy on the inside. You could totally feel that with Tyrion.
Yeah.
That he's a boy on the inside. He's a hurt boy. And Jon with the guy with the heart who will put his life at risk to do the right thing for someone. He's grown into that person too.
Yeah.
So he's the embodiment of everything. And one thing I got to give credit to for Peter Dinklage on this role, it's a thing that they consistently point out throughout the seasons. He's a dwarf. That's what they constantly say. In the beginning of the show, I was like, oh, he's the dwarf character. That's what he is. He's the dwarf guy. And then every time I see Peter Dinklage, he's the little man. That's what they always point out, and they make it very specific. Yeah. He's the little man. Over time, pretty fast, you stop thinking like, he's a little man. Look at that. He's just a dude.
I don't think about it anymore.
I never
until
think
they bring
about
it up.
Until they point it out. I wonder too, because there are bold writing aspects. That scene where he's being put up by trial by his dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, I am guilty of being a dwarf.
Yeah.
That moment where he's standing up to everyone. I wonder if in any possible way, guys, I have no idea what the real Peter Dinklage is like. Not a clue into his backstory, where he's from. I don't know anything about.
Mostly CGI.
But I wonder for someone who's born as a little man, if that is something where that was semi-therapeutic to do a character like this.
I imagine there's something of that, because we're
there's an authenticity in that performance,
Yeah, and I feel like we as a society are still on the journey of accepting and just understanding little people. Because I know a few little people, and usually bother to kind of shed a light on the issues. So I feel like there is a lot of stuff that we're not aware of yet.
Yeah.
Or at least it's just we don't know how to think about.
Those are our top 10 list, people.
Yeah. Any honorable mentions you feel compelled
No,
to?
let's not do that.
There are 110 other characters.
150 million characters on that show. Honestly, my favorite character of all time is not someone I even recommended for this list. The only reason I didn't put him on the list is because he's only in one season, and that's Ned Stark. Ned Stark. He is known as Father Stark. He's Father Stark. He's a priest. His presence, 7 seasons later, is still strongly resonant in the show.
Yeah.
Still really felt. The thing, though, is the reason I didn't want to put him on the list is because I'm like, he's only in one season. And these other guys have been in at least a few seasons,
Yeah, you didn't get to. I feel like a lot of these characters have had the benefit of that
growth
long
and change and journey.
Because the show does make you appreciate and notice arcs. Because we've been doing this for years, and that's one thing that's magic about still having to wait for TV is the time passes with you.
Yeah.
And so it's we've grown up with this family, and Ned Stark is a weird position because it's your death kind of kicks this all off.
It is. Yeah.
So it's are you the best character?
He was the one who I always felt I always felt warm and fuzzy and safe when Ned was around. So that's why it was a great plot move on George R.R. Martin's part to kill the guy.
Yeah.
Then,
you're too good for this world,
the one
Ned.
guy who made me feel safe on the show is
Ned Stark was too good for this world.
Too good for the world. And I'm sure there's other characters you guys probably want to hear. Melisandre.
I'm sure we'll get a lot of guff for not including Daenerys.
What about Drogo or Drogon even? Or Davos? Don't give it
Tormund.
This isn't a list of characters we don't like. All right,
this isn't to imply that every other character sucks.
We don't. Yeah, I don't want you guys to think that.
I hate the show except when these guys.
Okay, so these are just. And then we thought, what if we just rank all the Game of Thrones characters? And we're like, that's gonna take a while.
Way too many.
That's a lot.
Then we gotta rank the houses and how.
Then you gotta rank a recurring character who was there for a few episodes but only in one season.
Yeah. Tommen's near the top.
Yeah. The old lady who just died from House Tyrell.
Oh, Olenna, she's cool.
She's amazing. She's fantastic. Chances are, if you're upset this person's not on the list, we like them too, okay?
Yeah. Roz is cool too.
Anyway, guys, what did you think of our list and a positive ending here?
Did you like it? I hope so. Subscribe to The Real Rejects.
Click that notification bell.
You can subscribe to us on patreon.com/TheRealRejects as well if you want to. And also check this guy out at the Greg Alba on Instagram and Dad John Humphrey on Instagram. We also are at The Real Rejects on Instagram. Totally confusing. Did I miss anything?
No, because on Instagram we're at Real Rejects. Become a Patron eject today. Rosa Para, thank you for the suggestion. This video was a lot of fun to film. It's nice.
Rosa.
It's nice to get a request for something that's not a reaction.
Yeah, so, it's fun. It's creative.
So thank you for requesting this, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Shouts out to you and your entire family of daughters, especially Cassandra, because she's the one that loves me.